for a speed trap over here by the border. Or they're just staring at me. I don't know. They're right over at the Hood River Marina sign. I figure I probably ought to turn on my camera as I walk back to my car. They sure are cute though, ain't they? Anyway, I was thinking about going over to the marina again and possibly taking a look at some of the wildlife down there, see if that bird's still over there, but I don't know, the cops might take that as antagonization and we're not looking for that. Alright. Now, of course, that's the Port of Hood River sign, right? And then East Marina Way. And that's this street right along here that goes past the Shell station, past the Chevron, past the McDonald's to the Best Western. Of course, going the other way, East Marina takes you to, of course, the marina that way. And then if you go the other way on that street, it'll actually take you to the Department of Motor Vehicles and the, God, what's the name of the paper here? I can't remember. I walked in there and talked to the lady, though. And, of course, that's where the cop's sitting. And we got the road sign there. Not sure what purpose the road sign has. Maybe they're gonna work on it a bit more, because they did have some signs up here. What was it, yesterday or the day before? Mostly across that lane. Sprinklers, they're coming on. Good time of night for it. It's best not to water your lawn during the day, especially when it's super sunshiny. You either want to water it after the sun starts going down, or before the sun comes up. You can probably get away with it as the sun's coming up, but once it gets hot, you'll actually burn up your lawn doing that. You can actually start your lawn on fire, which is pretty interesting. Apparently, water can refract light similar to a magnifying glass. Who knew? Now, of course, we know Hood River PD doesn't really have much to do with their time now that they're not allowed to shoot homeless people or black folks. Of course, in a town like this, it's not like they get a whole hell of a lot of opportunities for that anyway. The closest they get is, well, they can probably intimidate Dean into something that they could use as an excuse to blast him if they wanted to. Taking his camper, well, that was pretty fucking antagonistic. Especially when the man can't even defend himself. When the man can't provide it for himself, and he is entirely dependent on others for his survival. When I say entirely dependent on him, I do mean it. I mean, I'm a lot better off mentally than Dean is. But being better off mentally doesn't make me capable of doing those things either. That's the nature of the beast when it comes to these things. Trauma is not one of those things where you just magic it away. A lot of people keep trying to insinuate I should somehow turn off my emotions. Well, that don't work. Without emotion, there is no purpose. There's no purpose to anything without emotion. Without emotion, there is no drive to do anything. All of our motivations, every single one of them, are based off of emotions. When people decide that they want to become a scientist and they want to help cure a very specific type of cancer, if you ask those people why they picked that specific type of cancer, most of them will tell you they had somebody die of that type of cancer. So there's an emotional attachment to their scientific work. Science is not devoid of emotion. We have what are called pseudosciences. That's, like a therapist. That's considered a pseudoscientist. The reason is they don't intensely study the brain. They intensely study the brain's reactions, or the human reactions to stimuli. And those stimuli, many times, those stimuli are emotional. When somebody dies and you have issues processing the fact that they died, and you have difficulties processing and functioning in a life without them because of grief, that is an emotional response, and it is, to some degree at least, scientifically measurable. But there's a lot of other stuff that goes into the pseudosciences category that's, entire hoopla. Tarot reading, some people actually consider that a pseudoscience. It's not. It's rooted heavily in mythology. It's basically, at this point in time, just like astrology, it's mostly for entertainment purposes. Now, astrology is both a science and a pseudoscience, depending on which astrology you're talking about. If you're talking about the zodiac and being a Libra, or being a Cancer, or a Piscis, that's not even a pseudoscience. When it comes to astrology as an actual science, that's where you get the Great Pyramids and stuff like that, point in particular directions. One of the theories about the Great Pyramids being covered in white marble or white stone was the idea of refractory growth. These things were so huge and so massive, and with the angle that they were set at in relation to the sun, they may have been used to increase the growth of plants. I don't know if that necessarily works out that way, but it's a good theory. But when we look at institutions, and by institution, you might want to look that word up, the gatherings that created Stonehenge, it created Stonehenge as an institution in and of itself, but it was an instrument of astrology. And basically, the two most important points of Stonehenge are the ones that let you know when to plant, and the ones that let you know when to harvest. These are very important dates, especially if you're an agricultural society. And that's where constellations come in as both a science and a pseudoscience. When certain constellations line up, just like the Aztecs did as well, and the Inca and the Mayan, they all had similar structures to let you know when to plant your food and when to harvest it. It's pretty universal. So when it comes to approximating when you should plant your plants and when you should harvest them, it's very much a science. But the pseudoscience, that comes in the form of the constellations themselves. Different people believe different things. Some people believe in animism, which is not the only religion of the Americas before Europeans showed up, but it's the primary one. Now, animism, I look at it very much the same as I look at Greek astrology. It's, for the most part, hoopla. Now, where the pseudoscience comes in with all of this hoopla is, sorry, I'm trying to stay on top. The formation of the constellations, there's a dog that died in Seattle and it's up there somewhere, and there's a crow that descended into heaven from somewhere in Nebraska, likely Pawnee territory. Now, whether or not these things actually happened, we're probably going to relegate it to the realm of mythology, and it's definitely mythology to me. I don't believe in that stuff any more than I believe in Odinism or even the Jesus. But when you have it established as a religion based on those stars, whatever stories are with them, and you're using that religion based around planting your harvest and, of course, harvesting your harvest, the fact that mythology is still attached is what makes it a pseudoscience. The fact that it's got religious connotations makes it a pseudoscience. Basically, it takes it out of the realm of being actual science, just because of the mythology. Now, we got a bad habit of painting Native American mystical creatures, basically like they're magical unicorns. We got all this mythology about Native Americans changing into different animals. There's a movie with Val Kilmer about the AIM movement, the American Indian movement, and the FBI being involved in some of the killings of Native Americans. And I'm trying to, what was it, like Thunderheart maybe? But also that story is based on true events. The FBI actually did those things. Not necessarily in the way they were depicted in the movie. But even in that movie that's supposed to be realistic and based on fact, one of them fellers, he's in handcuffs, and he runs away from them FBI agents, and he turns into a antelope. Well, animism as a religion, I can respect those beliefs. But, yeah, I don't believe that human beings can transform them into animals. I think that's a bunch of hoopla. I don't put that in the pseudoscience category. I don't even put that in the relatively possible category. Now, as a scientist, Of course, I don't rule out the possibility. There's always, even if it's 1/1 trillionth of a chance, I suppose there's still a chance. We've seen some pretty long odds in recent years, and we've seen some people come out on top of situations they never should have come out on top on. Doors typed, bro. Hey, Doors. I'm gonna address your questions in a bit. I'll probably address them in the morning because I'm about to go to bed. I hope you don't find that insulting. If you type a comment in the regular comment section of one of my videos, then I can actually click on your name tomorrow, and that way whenever you come on, I'll let you know the name of the video on my channel. I'll probably put the word doors in it, that way you know it's for you. And I'll try to address your questions or suggestions. Anyway, it's good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper. And no victim left behind.